lessons are being learnt on Zambia, and I think that is one of the reasons why it has taken this long. And I must say that if this process is not expedited, if this process does not move faster, we might not reap the full benefits of debt restructuring at the end of the day, because our hope is that we reap the full benefits of debt restructuring, transform our economy, learn critical lessons so that we don't go back to such a time. And also just quickly commenting on the yesterday's news where we heard that the Eurobond, the agreement that we actually had with the Eurobond holders was rejected for a second time. I think it's also quite important to note that this is not about the IMF. I think the IMF's position in this debt restructuring has been critical. Theirs is to basically support through obviously financing and technical support to support our restructuring process, which includes the economic transformation process, where we are saying we want to reform our economy. And so in terms of discussions, it's basically been about Zambia and its creditors. So the Zambian government sat with the Eurobond creditor committee, and they agreed on something. However, this agreement was rejected by the official creditors, the other creditors that Zambia has, because like we said, Zambia has two large creditors broadly: the bilateral creditors, which we have managed to secure a deal with. Now we are trying to secure a deal with the Eurobond creditors. So these are the ones whose proposal was rejected by the official creditors, because what it is that there needs to be some kind of comparability between the two creditors in terms of what kind of relief they are offering to Zambia. So I think that's just something to note. But however, not all hope is lost. Like I've said, it's a negotiation. So I think they still need to sit down on the table and address all the critical loopholes that we have noticed.
Great. Let me take another call. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
How are you today?
I'm fine.
Your name, sir, and where are you calling us from?
Mark Tembo from Kawata City.
Mark Tembo.
Madala.
Please go ahead,
Yes.
Mark. Right.
That,
Yeah.
long time.
Indeed. Good to have you.
Yeah. Hii program was Zakaria Elo, 100%.
Thank you.
Zakaria, it's on the 5 FM. Lelo program was waleta abantu balondolole bali IMF what is the benefit for the people of Zambia. You know what, Zakaria? I'm worried about the noise of the PF because they take advantage as citizens who are ignorant about the strike which my president has fought. Why this opposition criticizing this? The question I want to find out from those who are on the panel is this. They criticize my president that he has given tax holidays. But are the one who borrowed the money, like the PF, they borrowed the money on a consumption. So what the benefit will be on us once the deal is strike collective?
Thank you.
What will be the benefit?
Great.
Thank you, Zakaria.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that. On 0955-221515 is the number you can get us on the Tuesday edition of the Burning Issue. Text us also on 0761-912493 for your SMSs and indeed WhatsApp messages as well. I'll take another call. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Zach. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. And how are you today?
I'm fine, Mr. Sakala.
Mr. Sakala, good to have you. Please go ahead.
Yeah, how are you, the panel?
The panel.
Good morning, Mr. Sakala.
Morning. Yeah, Monga Kulisha Renang, and Ramachinanga.
Okay.
Volve, I get them one, those are my politicians, Matisokoneza, so I tell you, Vaziko, Mazena Mchilungam. Who are going to move maybe everything in politics. They are based in the pass of God. So, Monamuka Bila, so I think 1 billion there. 1 billion there. Mupitiza socha do Mazambia ya Pantende. Ele mugada bwena ngoka mbati. Dai moyo kwa zatenga watu no Zambia. So wazanga watu kwa mizi. Kazi ya ngongore ni kutenga Zambia. Kazi kubena vani vilito. So magida nchike tuzo ni socha mami tuzo process.
Zikom.
Zikom mchezo bila msababu.
Yeah. There you have it. Maybe I take another one on 0955-221515. Good morning.
That,
How are you, sir?
I'm better than you.
You think so?
Yes,
Good.
I'm the strongest man.
Good to hear. Good to hear that.
Kingford, the voice of my choice.
Your name again?
Kingford, the voice of my choice in Kapanana.
Kingford. Please.
Kingford.
Yes. Please go ahead,
yes.
sir.
Morishani mwebali momopane wansebali.
We know Badishani about Kingford.
Yes. Ukuronderera mularonderera bulimosana. You see, goodness inango ubusuma nango bwasya bwakwata this government. Ukulanda ilalanda bwino sana. But inkongode chechine mulesenda. Moneka progress ile moneka ile nkatwishinga kutoborona toborona ngona alipofura nchile mona because mwalicho not one book experience ete tatoa tara kitapo experience in this government ingatawa kitapo bunga bwa kutumisho wateni kwa tana twambo kuchita there is kwa kama business indra mu secretion tachile moneka ero ngani kwa bombera mu malodi tumwena kuri yali amatrasi ya pitenda rama ngayaya ke imotrati kwa iswa tamulindra mu secretion ureta dawa limbipani yeo po yaikira india yapo ya matraki ya bilimo ya uko pita ndio matajemeka mu secretion ifire kika mu ine CTF mwaela mukore turondorwera because hizi nango ni na CTF mubonge tatwa ikibendera mu kosipo ni china MF echo mubikamo
ba Kingford aba bantu nkweterero pa mulabasa teba government iyo niba NGO bena balelandira fe mukwimini na pakati nokulanda fe chishinka pa peri ashiri yankongole
okay baye batulandire ko kutira inkongole nesho bali dipirako kuri ine ishinkongole shakare bali dipirako kupokera kofe na chimbi bale kongola
natotera mkwae.
Okay.
There you have it. And maybe we respond, but I'm happy that most of the people are appreciating your explanation and your opinion on what is going on in the country with regards debt restructuring. There isn't much in terms of questions. Most of them have just been recommending. Let's see if we can get a question. Let's see this one. Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
How are you today?
We are all right. All right. Good morning, the panel.
Good morning.
This is Tony Katapaz, Indira.
Your name again?
Tony Katapaz.
Okay, I can't get clearly, but just give me the first name.
Katapaz.
Katapazi.
Yeah.
Okay, please go ahead.
Yeah, I just worried about the panel. We congratulate you there. You are explaining things well. You are not biased. You are just on the middle. But I just want to talk about something I think which is something difficult to follow, but we have to fall into it. On the mining, we have heard a lot of people saying that why do we always let foreigners to come and learn the mining while we have very little people who can do it in our country? I would love you to explain to Zambian people how much does it take for someone to learn a mine, and when does someone start receiving the profit? Because we are told, and some of us who have experienced, someone can come with $1 billion, put in a mining, learn the mining without a profit. It keeps on paying the workers for 3 to 5 years. That's when you can start receiving the payment, the profit. Now, we have the capability of Zambian people, as Zambian people, who can put the money for 5 years waiting to make a profit. I don't think so. Yeah, we can learn this small-scale mining. We can say that, no, the people are learning small gold mining, but how many people are dying from those small-scale mining? And how many people are being employed? We have any Zambian who can learn a mine and employ over 7,000 people using his pocket money for 3 to 5 years without getting anything. Today, we hear a lot of people talking about Mupan. We are told to start learning the Mupan mining, which has been shut for a while. it needs about close to $1 billion to buy the pump machine to come and move the water because the mine has been shut for so long. So as we go through this data destruction, I think it's very important you NGOs and the government to sit down to explain to the people what is exactly happening. It's unfortunate that the government is not explaining to the people plus you NGOs, and people are taking whatever what they are told from the politicians. Look at the story of how it is changing now. It has gone to IMF, where it is just between the Eurobond and the government, which is not involving the IMF. And it's very important. I remember one of these politicians before election used to tell us that don't go and get money from Russia. And if you could have got the money from the way we got from IMF and maybe could have got from China and what, this deal could have been concluded by now. Now, because we are so greedy to the level whereby we wanted someone who give us money without following us. And we ended up going to Shylock, to the Eurobond. And that's the reason that the same people have given us a heart attack or a headache to control this credit which we are facing today. If it was just big institute, by this time could have been done. I thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Mr. Katapazi. Any reactions from both of you? Doc?
Okay, so Mr. Katapazi, thank you for the question, but which I think was more of a comment because he's already given us, an elaborate picture of what it takes to run a mine and how that an ordinary Zambian might not have the capabilities to actually, run a mine successfully and go on for years without actually reaping any profits, but keep investing in it. So indeed, but then the issue around mining here comes in terms of how we can benefit, how the ordinary person out there, the ordinary Zambian, gets to benefit from this. And I think what we have been calling for mostly has been, from the government's point of view, they are calling for, engage or joint ventures, between foreigners and our own local entrepreneurs. But beyond that, I think also to consider value addition. I think there has to be deliberate policies that point towards value addition. It's about time we move away from just, extracting and sending out a raw material out there, but actually, build up these value addition infrastructure in this country so that we process at least even to a semi, point, and at least get some semi-processed product out there, unlike just extracting our minerals or our resources in their raw form. So for me, that would be my contribution on the mining.
Great. Did you want to say something?
Yeah, thank you so much, Doc. I think Doc has put it very, very clearly, and that's very important. I think we need to move away from just extracting and only getting mineral royalties and taxes and all those things. I think we need to move more into value addition. I think even the small scale miners, that's one thing that we are talking about. So many small scale miners are doing, so many artisanal small scale miners are mining manganese, gold, and other things. But ask them what exactly they are getting from that, what they are doing from that. They are selling those things to, other people who have the capacity. Then just quickly, maybe under a minute, just commenting on why we always look for foreigners to run a mine. I think this is in a situation that is not very ideal. Obviously, looking at our capacity as a country, we spoke about resources, 50 years, more than 50 years of independence. I think we should have learned lessons. I said this again. And we should have obviously been moving to a situation where, as a country, we are running some of the mines that we have, even the largest mine, we own it by, owned by Zambians, which means that the taxes will remain in Zambia, the proceeds will remain in Zambia, and everything will remain in Zambia. As we sell them, we get the dollars as well to back the kwacha, so that we don't have depreciation like we're having. Then obviously just responding to Mr. Kingford, who was asking whether we have paid back anything in terms of the money that we owe. Zamene is in Congole. So I think the answer is that some of the people that we owe money, yes, we are paying back, and some we are not. So the larger chunk we are not paying. Those that we are only paying back are the IMF, the multilateral creditors, and the like, in terms of debt servicing. But the larger part, we are not in terms of our bilateral debt, the private debt. And I think that is the reason why we're in problems, because we haven't been paying back, and the interest has been accumulating even though we are not paying back. So I think that is even why we are pushing for debt restructuring, Mr. Kingford, so that we can have more easier terms of paying back this money, not the the terms that are choking us. We want easier terms of paying back this money so that we can have more space to develop the country. Then responding to Mr. Mark, he was asking what the benefits will be of this debt restructuring. I think I'll just make reference to one of the clause terms. So if you look at the debt restructuring agreement, that has been approved. And I'm talking about the one that has already been approved, not the other one where we are still. So the one that has been approved with the commercial, with the bilateral creditors, the official creditors. So some of the benefits are that so we are owing these people 6.3 billion. That is what we're supposed to pay back. And we are finding it difficult. So with the way we have restructured bilateral debt, the debt with our official creditors, it means that from the 6.3 billion that we're supposed to be paying, we are going to save 5.8 billion US dollars between 2023 and 2031. We are saving 5.8 billion US dollars. What this means is that in the next 10 years, we are supposed to pay only 750 million US dollars instead of 6.3 billion. So what it then means is that the benefit is here then. That 5.8 billion that we are saving, it means that we have the capacity now to use it to develop our country. We now have the capacity, the opportunity to use it wisely and grow sectors that we want to see contribute positively to our economy. For example, the manufacturing sector, the opportunity lies here. To build our social sector, the opportunity lies here. If we are to build schools, this is where the opportunity lies. If we are to, increase opportunities for the private sector, this is where the opportunity lies. So now the homework remains in government's hands, to carefully employ policies that will ensure that growth in Zambia is promoted.
I'll take some more calls, maybe a last batch. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Zach.
How are you today?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you, sir?
I'm fine, thank you. Your name, sir, and where are you calling us from?
This is Sian calling Vinu Saka, the chief himself. Good morning to the panelists there.
Good morning, Mr. Sir.
Good morning, Chief.
Thank you so much. You people, you are explaining so well. I hope government would come and explain more, because what you are talking about and what government is talking about, they are contradicting the statement which are coming from government. Because when other creditors say, no, we cannot go with this these terms and conditions, it means that they have rejected the terms and conditions you have put in place. But them, they are saying, no, they have not rejected, but they have made some reservation. What does the reservation mean? It means that people are not agreeing with something which you have put in place. So, if you look at, you talked about the borrowing between the previous government and this government. The previous government mainly borrowed to improve the infrastructure development of this country, and we have seen some infrastructure they have even started paying back, such as Kazungula Bridge and these other economical infrastructure. But if you look at the UPND with the money they have borrowed so far, this is why people are saying that they are not seeing where the money is. Why? Because they have borrowed for consumption. Okay? Can you expect something to come out from consumption, madam, there?
Thank you.
Look at the money which they have gotten from IMF, which is going maybe to education, it is going to social sector. How much will come from the social sector? It means that they will come, we are going to get nothing from that sector. So we want money. When you borrow, you put them into production so that you can expand the tax base. When you get more taxes, it means that you can even easily fund these other social sectors we are talking about. Thank you so much for where we are listening.
Mr. Siame, we appreciate for your phone call. And Mr. Siame brings out issues of consumption versus productivity in the money that we're getting from IMF. It should not be consumed. At the moment he feels it's being consumed, it's supposed to be pumped into production. Your thought, Doc?
Yes, so I'll take on Mr. Siame. Thank you so much for that important question. And I think what he has asked, I think, is a challenge on the part of government to actually come out clearly, because you can tell from these questions that we are getting that people don't have the information out there.
Right.
And so it's the onus is on government to break it down to a level, where everyone understands and buys into the vision that the government has. The vision is good, but without a buy-in, people will not appreciate what the government is doing. So, for instance, the spending on health, on education, can, comes out as consumption expenditure, social sectors. But this is an investment, and to me, it's a long-term investment. Okay, which if we neglect it now, then this country, we shouldn't just look at ourselves now. I think that even the mistake we make as citizens is just to consider us now. The sustainability of development means that whatever you do now, you also have to think about what happens in the future. What will happen to our great grandchildren, who are the future Zambians?
Right.
Okay, what sort of country are they going to find? So it starts from what we are doing now about health, about education, and then the income, of course. He's also right to talk about how we need to invest in the productive sectors. So that is important. But investing in productive sectors alone will not result into any trickle-down effect on the poorest of our citizens. And so this is why this, safety net was in a way brought into this program. Remember earlier we talked about how the face of the IMF then of the 90s is a bit different from now. In the 90s, they were not going to allow us to do this sort of expenditure. Okay, mostly it was going to be expenditure cuts. Okay, cut down on anything else that you can cut, social sectors and whatnot. And then we saw how that the social sectors really felt it back then. Okay, with the HIV/AIDS burden and everything else that came there, it was really a miserable time, especially for the lower income brackets. Okay, so now with this focus on education, it's an investment in the future. In fact, no one is going to applaud this government for, education. Like, they shouldn't even expect a pat on the back. The only time people are going to applaud them is maybe 20 years. That's when the results from what they
From
are
the free
spending,
education
from the
will
free
result,
education
yeah.
will come up. Right now, it will just be one of those things. So it's one way of, taking everyone on board, the rural areas. Okay, in urban communities, I think maybe it's quite easy, to pay some user fees here and there in these institutions, health and schools.
Right.
But then out there, the situation was really terrible, where pupils were not, getting into school. And then you find the overcrowding that you see now is a response to this kind of policy or this kind of spending, government spending, where you're saying we're going to sponsor to spend on this, support the schools to bring in as many kids, out there as possible, whoever wants to, to come into school.
So this is where the IMF money is being channeled to, right? Free education,
largely part of it,
recruitment
health,
of teachers, and
health workers and things like that,
right?
So,
and this is what is being termed consumption
expenditure,
because the thought is we're paying the teachers. That's the thinking that we.
So I think maybe in terms of paying the teachers, we might not say that the money is going to paying teachers.
That
information is not available. I think what is available is the fact that this money is going into social sector investments. And if you see, some of the investments in the social sector have been obviously health worker trying to improve capacity. I think there has been, not to cut you, doctor, but there has been a lot of complaints when you look at maybe health facilities in rural areas
compared
to urban areas. You see that maybe you may go to a clinic overnight, you fall sick overnight, you travel maybe 10 kilometers, get to a health center, then you find that the staff at the health center has knocked off, or there's no one there. You see, if a lady maybe falls into labor overnight, you know that the next, maybe maternity ward is 20 kilometers away from a 10 kilometers. So I think that is a challenge. And, when you have a population that you haven't invested in terms of human capital, even once your economy begins to grow and develop, it will be very difficult for you to manage that growth, for you to manage that, because you won't have people. And at the end of the day, you end up looking for expatriates. So I think, investment in human capital is quite important, like Doc has said. Invest in people so that you can have an educated population. Invest in people so that you can have a healthy population. And then now strike a balance between your investment in human capital, your social investment, versus your economic investment, so that there's a balance. You are producing people that are learned, producing people that understand things, and then on the other side, you are creating opportunities for them. So I think they've done quite well on the human capital side. Now there's need for work on the economic side. I think Doc can finish it for me.
Maybe let's conclude, because it's actually time.